World News program coming to you live from Algiers with me, Mariam Zian, to the headlines. Algeria announces the start of Ramadan on March the 1st. President Tebboune offers his best wishes to the Algerian people and pledges to combat speculation. Coming up tonight, Egypt announces the start of the second phase of negotiations for the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Hamas reaffirms its commitment to all stages and details of the agreement, while Trump confirms that his administration is holding positive talks regarding Gaza. Next, the Sudanese army strengthens its control over strategic areas in the capital Khartoum, repelling rapid support forces' drone attacks. Meanwhile, the Sudanese foreign minister rules out political solution without the surrender of the rapid support forces. And Trump warns Zelensky of gambling with World War III during a tense Oval Office meeting, while Moscow confirms that the Istanbul talks on diplomatic missions with the US are substantial and practical. Hello and welcome back to the details of our program. First, the National Commission for the Observation of the Lunar Crescent, affiliated with the Ministry of Religious Affairs and Endowments, announced on Friday at Dar al-Imam in Algiers that Ramadan for the 1446 Hijri year begins on Saturday, March the 1st in Algeria after observing the lunar crescent. The commission, which has subcommittees across the provinces, includes scholars and experts from the Center for Research in Astronomy, Astrophysics and Geophysics. And on the occasion of the advent of the holy fasting month of Ramadan, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, offered his best wishes to the Algerian people on Friday evening, calling for strengthening the spirit of fraternity and solidarity rooted in Algerian society, which today enjoys security and stability, and vowing to combat all forms of speculation and manipulation of the citizens' livelihood.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وصل اللهم وسلم على حبيبنا وإمامنا ونبينا سيدنا محمد ألف صلاة وألف سلام عليه. أيتها المواطنات أيها المواطنون، يسعدني بمناسبة حلول شهر رمضان المبارك للسنة الهجرية 1446 أن أتوجه إليكم وإليكن بأسمى آيات التهاني والتبريكات وخالص الأمنيات. نستقبل هذا الشهر الكريم بما يحمله من نفحات إيمانية تدفعنا إلى تعزيز روح الأخوة والتضامن المتجدرين في المجتمع الجزائري الذي ينعم اليوم بنعمة الأمن والاستقرار، وأن بلادنا تمكنت بسواعد أبنائها وبناتها من تحقيق قفزة نوعية في تجسيد الالتزامات والإنجازات ذات الأثر المباشر على المواطن، مع حماية للقدرة الشرائية والحرص صارم على مواصلة مكافحة كل أشكال المضاربة والعبث بقوت الجزائريين والجزائريات.
President Tebboune also seized the opportunity to extend his sincerest wishes to the Algerian community settled abroad, praying Allah Almighty to accept their fasting and good deeds.
كما لا يفوتني بهذه المناسبة العطرة أن أتوجه إلى أبنائنا وبناتنا في المهجر بخالص التهاني، وراجيا من المولى عز وجل أن يتقبل منهم الصيام والقيام، دون أن ننسى أشقاءنا في فلسطين الجريحة بالدعاء لهم أن يسهل الله ظروفهم ويرفع عنهم المعاناة وأن يوحد صفوفهم. صح صيامكم، رمضان كريم، وكل عام وأنتم بخير. تحية الجزائر، والمجد والخلود لشهدائنا الأبرار.
From me and the rest of the team, happy Ramadan to all of the Muslims around the world. And Egypt has announced the start of intensive talks in Cairo to discuss the next phases of the truce agreement amid ongoing efforts to ensure the implementation of the agreed-upon terms. The Egyptian General Authority for Information stated that delegations from Qatar and Israel arrived in Cairo to continue negotiations related to the ceasefire in Gaza, with the participation of American representatives. Mediators will also discuss delivering humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip to alleviate the suffering of Palestinians there. And Hamas reiterated its commitment to implementing the terms of the Gaza ceasefire agreement as the first phase of the deal concludes. In a statement, Hamas reaffirmed its full commitment to implementing all clauses of the agreement across all its phases and details. It called on the mediators, backers, and the international community to pressure the Israeli occupation to fully comply with its obligations and to promptly enter the second phase of the agreement without any delay. U.S. President Donald Trump stated that his administration has had productive discussions regarding Gaza. He made this remark in response to a question about the prospects for the success of the second phase of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza during a joint press conference at the White House with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. President Trump added that he believes viable solutions will be reached, emphasizing that the first phase is nearly complete.
I think we're going to make it much better, and I think that we've had a huge impact on that since we've been in just the 4 weeks. I think we've had a huge impact on Gaza, the Middle East, and we have some pretty good talks going on concerning lots of other people that are going to make it better. So we'll see what happens. Nobody really knows, but we'll see what happens. But I think we've had a very positive impact.
The Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor confirmed on today that Palestinian prisoners released the seventh batch exchange under the first phase of the agreement that were subjected to horrific violations by the occupation forces. So in a statement, the Monitor revealed credible information about the deaths of dozens of prisoners inside Israeli prisons. It also documented severe injuries among the released, including limb amputation and swelling caused by torture, extreme fatigue, and exhaustion. An official Israeli security investigation acknowledged the failure to prevent Al-Aqsa flood attack on Gaza border settlements on October 7, 2023. The investigation revealed that the strategy of conflict management and frontline defense collapsed, allowing the Palestinian resistance to overpower the Gaza division and control the border settlements for hours, resulting in heavy casualties. It also noted that the occupation was unprepared for Hamas's ground invasion, having no plan to address such a scenario. Hamas spokesperson Hazem al-Qasem stated that the failure exposed by the occupation's investigations confirmed the superiority of Palestinian will over Israeli military power. In a press statement on Friday, Qasem added that the investigations highlighted the ability of Al-Qassam brigades, Hamas's military wing, to outsmart the entire Israeli security apparatus. He emphasized that Israeli arrogance will continue to blind it to the resilience of the Palestinian people in their pursuit of freedom and independence. And Qatar submitted a memorandum to the International Court of Justice emphasizing the necessity of for the occupation to allow the United Nations and other international organizations to operate in Palestine. Qatar expressed its confidence that the court would clarify the critical legal issues related to securing the livelihoods of the Palestinian people and their inalienable right to self-determination. And the Sahrawi Minister of Education, Katari Adouha, stated that the weakening of Morocco's occupation projects in Western Sahara and its expansionist policies has forced the Moroccan regime to seek support from its backers, led by France. Speaking on the sidelines of the 49th anniversary celebrations of the proclamation of the Sahrawi Republic, Arab Democratic Republic in the city of Samra, Adouh condemned the visit of French officials to the occupied Sahrawi territories, calling it a blatant violation of international law and the legal status of the Sahrawi cause at the United Nations.
Morocco's occupation is nearing its end. Its expansion strategy has become so disparate that it now seeks help from its backers, who have stepped out of the shadows. France's recent actions, blatantly violating international law, seem like an attempt to revive Morocco's expansionist agenda. French officials, including the Minister of Culture and the Senate President, have visited the occupied territories, disregarding international law. The UN recognized legal status of Western Sahara and Sahrawi sovereignty. As a recognized African Union member, the Sahrawi people remain steadfast in their fight for self-determination.
And while attending celebrations marking the anniversary of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic's proclamation, Mauritanian officials reaffirmed their country's support for the Sahrawi people until they achieve full independence.
I'm honored to stand among this resilient people who have faced immense challenges, yet remain steadfast and unyielding. Here, I reaffirm my full support and solidarity with the Sahrawi people, both its government and citizens. I also express gratitude to the brotherly Algerian Republic for its continuous support of the Sahrawi cause. Our hope remains that the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic will soon achieve full independence and sovereignty.
And at a United Nations conference in Geneva, experts and human rights activists have condemned Morocco's use of renewable energy projects in Western Sahara, calling it a tool to reinforce its occupation of the disputed territory. They warn that these investments, backed by European companies, violate international law and deprive the Sahrawi people of their natural resources. Marwa Belaiwar has more.
At the UN's Geneva headquarters, rights experts and activists are sounding the alarm over Morocco's exploitation of Western Sahara's resources under the pretext of renewable energy investment. The conference also highlighted the growing repression of Sahrawi activists who oppose Morocco's economic control of the territory. Rights groups warn that the region remains off limits to independent observers and journalists,
where our voices are silenced, persecuted and criminalized. Those who denounce the collusion between economic interests and political power as usually the most invisible and marginalized. A good example of this, Antona was saying, is the persecution of Sahrawi activists who denounce economic neocolonialism. Research and testimony of Sahrawi activists in a territory closed to independent international monitoring. They are paying a heavy price for the commitment for human rights. Over the last 5 years, the Mundubat Foundation has sought precisely to contribute to the work of these local activists by developing in-depth research on the practices of neocolonial extractivism that sustain the legal Moroccan occupation and that are behind the stagnation of the decolonization process in Western Sahara.
Emphasizing the 48th anniversary of the Sahrawi Republic, they called for urgent international action to halt the illegal exploitation of the region's resources and to uphold the Sahrawi people's right to sovereignty over their natural wealth.
So while the Sahrawi population in the refugee camps is highly affected by climate change, the Sahrawi people are excluded from global climate governance. And what is particularly surprising, or I would say disturbing, is that in its reporting to UNFCCC, Morocco is including the projects in occupied Western Sahara.
Morocco, suffering from the stifling economic crisis, is greedy to plunder and exploit the wealth of the Sahrawi people. a pursuit further emboldened by repeated visits from French delegations, which signals a clear and blatant violation of international laws and conventions.
Algerian Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure Lakhdar Rakhrouk said that the construction of the first section of the Tindouf-Swidat road, which spans 320 kilometers, has officially begun, with 20% of the work already completed. While chairing the second session of the Algerian-Mauritanian Joint Committee to follow up on the Tindouf-Swidat road project, alongside his Mauritanian counterpart, the minister mentioned that the completion of this integrated and comprehensive project will open up new and promising horizons to strengthen cooperation and promote bilateral partnerships in other vital sectors related to the project.
The construction work on the first section of the Tindouf-Swidat road, which spans 320 kilometers and has already begun, is 20% complete. I call on the companies responsible for implementing this strategic project to reinforce and support the work sites with the necessary material and human resources in order to deliver the project within the specified deadlines, while ensuring compliance with the required quality and standards.
And Algeria sent humanitarian aid, including food supplies, to Niger on the occasion of the holy month of Ramadan through 3 aircraft belonging to the Algerian Armed Forces. A statement from the Algerian Red Crescent clarified that the humanitarian aid overseen by the president of the Algerian Red Cross or Red Crescent was sent to Niger following the directives of Algerian President Abdelnajid Tebboune as part of strengthening solidarity relations between the two countries. Algeria called for a comprehensive overhaul of UN peacekeeping to enhance efficiency and responsiveness to emerging threats. Speaking at a UN Security Council, Algeria emphasized strong partnerships with host countries for effective peace operations, focusing on security reform and capacity building. It also urged the UN to expand collaboration with member states for technology transfer and expertise exchange to tackle complex security challenges.
The police play a pivotal role in these operations by establishing strong foundations for state institutions and restoring citizens' trust in them. However, United Nations peacekeeping efforts face multiple challenges that necessitate a comprehensive adaptation of these missions to strengthen their capacity for rapid and effective response to all forms of threats and to adjust to evolving operational environments. Maintaining a close partnership with the host country is crucial for the success of a peacekeeping mission's mandate, particularly in building the capacities of national security forces in alignment with the host country's priorities and vision.
Algeria reaffirmed its commitment to enhancing peace operations, particularly the police component through innovative partnerships. It also called for greater UN-AU cooperation and a stronger African Union role in Palestinian efforts.
Algeria reaffirms its commitment to supporting UN efforts through capacity-building programs to assist member states that have identified needs in this area. As the host country of the African Union Mechanism for Police Cooperation, AFRIPOL, Algeria strongly advocates for a greater role for the African Union in strengthening cooperation among African police institutions. It firmly believes that closer collaboration between the United Nations and the African Union will yield positive outcomes for all stakeholders.
Younes Megraman, Secretary General of Algeria's Foreign Ministry, delivered Algeria's accession letter to Global Coalition for Social Justice to ILO Director General Gilbert Rumbaud. During their meeting at the 58th session of the UN Human Rights Council, Megraman reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to the initiative and its willingness to share expertise in social justice. They also discussed enhancing cooperation with the ILO. He highlighted Algeria's social protection policy under President Tebboune, emphasizing efforts to strengthen social dialogue and workers' rights through legislative reforms and concrete measures. The Secretary General of the Algerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Lounas Maghraman, called on the Director General of the International Labour Organization, Gilbert Humbo, to support efforts to grant Palestine observer state status within the organization, in line with the UN General Assembly's resolution. This came during Maghraman's meeting with the organization's director on the sidelines of his participation in the high-level segment of the 58th session of the UN Human Rights Council. Maghraman also emphasized Algeria's firm commitment to supporting Africa's development efforts, especially in its capacity as the deputy chair of the African Union Commission. The Sudanese army made new advances in the East Nile front, with its forces nearing control in the Manchia Bridge, which connects to the East Nile area with the city of Khartoum. The 6th Infantry Division confirmed its control over Block 13, the most strategic area held by the Rapid Support Forces east of the Nile. The Armored Corps announced the destruction of RSF defenses on the Sahafa Street, leading to central Khartoum. Also, the Sudanese army announced that it repelled a drone attack by the Rapid Support Forces targeting the 19th Infantry Division headquarters, Marwi Dam, and the city's airport in northern Sudan. The 19th Infantry Division in Marwi assured residents of the northern state that the army is fully prepared and on high alert to respond to any threats. Sudanese Foreign Minister Youssef al-Sharif Ali ruled out the possibility of finding political solutions to the war in Sudan at the present time. In a press statement during his visit to Cairo, al-Sharif stressed that any political settlement must be based on the surrender of the Rapid Support Forces. He added that it is impossible to negotiate Sudan's future with what he described as, I quote, rebel militia. The World Food Programme revealed that half of the population in conflict areas in Sudan is suffering from severe hunger. The executive director of the World Food Programme, Sidney McCain, stated on Friday that the only way to reverse the famine situation in Sudan is by ending the fighting, as half of the Sudanese population is facing hunger and poverty. She added that halting the deadly confrontations would allow aid to enter and food to be distributed across the country. And the tense Oval Office meeting between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky erupted into a heated exchange, with Trump warning Zelensky that, I quote, "You are gambling with World War III." The confrontation, which also included Vice President J.D. Vance, underscores the growing divide between Trump's approach to foreign policy and Ukraine's ongoing fight against Russia. Nabil Khazini has the report.
His highly anticipated visit to the White House quickly spiraled into chaos, leaving everyone stunned by the fierce exchange between Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump. What was supposed to be a diplomatic meeting turned into a volatile public confrontation, with the US president openly criticizing his Ukrainian counterpart, accusing him of gambling with World War III. Trump's voice thundered across the Oval Office as he delivered a stark ultimatum.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Into this conflict.
As if the confrontation wasn't enough, Trump's Vice President J.D. Vance stepped into the fray, launching his own verbal attack on Zelensky. With a sharp tone, he accused the Ukrainian president of litigating in front of the American media and chastised him for what he described as an ungrateful and disrespectful approach.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict. Do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country? Right.
Yes. Zelensky has firmly stated that there should be no compromises with Vladimir Putin, while Trump argued that Ukraine will need to make concessions in order to reach a peace agreement with Russia. This contrast highlights the unclear path toward peace, where diverging views on what concessions are necessary complicate the situation. The meeting between the two leaders was originally planned as a prelude to signing a minerals deal, but that agreement ultimately did not materialize.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for tonight's program. Thank you for watching, and for me and the rest of the team, happy Ramadan.